Okay. So is $1 today worth more than $1 tomorrow? Yes,
Inflation.
because of inflation.
If there ever says why and you don't know why, just inflation.
Okay, why? Opportunity cost and inflation, which we just discussed. We just had a unit on inflation. We're coming back to it.
Those really are the two like just catch-all why answers in this
Inflation.
class. Like if they ask you to explain opportunity cost and inflation, it's over.
Or unemployment.
Yeah, those three. You put those three on any of your response, you get points.
Okay, so our next question up here, it says, what do banks do to compensate in the loan process for the lost value of money? They're gonna charge you what? Interest. I can't, my hands are all grimy. I touched my bottled water and they. Hey, the reason for charging and paying interest, so all you had to do is interest, that's what they're gonna do to compensate. So this will lead us to an equation about what will happen over time with our money. Okay, so this is Karl Marx.
Why?
Why?
Because,
Why?
Okay.
Okay. Why the moon and the stars?
I don't know, okay, so
Is
I
that
don't know what
how
this
Why
is,
Islam?
but what's gonna happen when I get to talking about exchange rates, and we're gonna look at China. China will do stuff purposely to keep their inflation down so that they could create a weak yen so people will constantly bring exports from their country into their country. Okay? And Karl Marx has a portion in his book where he talks about how inflation, if you keep that, it keeps everybody at equal, it keeps social equality, and it keeps your country to export, which I got to get to foreign policy to explain this, which is our last unit of foreign exchange.
Will we ever go into theories of value?
No.
Okay.
Okay, that's something you'll see later. It's just because we're on the macro economy of interaction and it's more capitalistic, so we won't get there.
I've been
Sorry.
taking this class for a full year. I want to take over.
I wish I could teach micro, but they won't let me teach micro. And
Why
Ryan,
not? We need to.
it's $20,000 for an additional course added to the school.
They got
Yeah.
government,
Cool,
right?
so-
We don't need government.
Hey, they got new helmets in football. We can get a new class.
Okay, so also you need the government credit to graduate, right? Y'all want to graduate?
That's what
Okay.
I'd rather not.
So I'm going to talk about the equation for time value of money. So V is going to stand for the future value, which we'll be trying to solve.
We're gonna go over why they got rid of the 2 dashes in the S for the money somewhere.
Yeah, well, every single money you ever interact with always has 2 dashes or 1 dash in it. So the yen, it's a Y with a dash. The peso has a P and 2 dashes. The euro, it has the
Yeah,
E
euro
with 2
has
dashes.
2.
The pound has an
Pound is
L
1.
with a dash. All money has a dash because they use the letter and the dash symbolizes that it's money.
But I went from 2 dashes to 1.
Yeah, the U.S.
Because
dollar
people
went-
got lazier.
Okay.
Right.
Stupid.
Alright, P is the present value of money. Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. Or Ryan. He's gonna have to sit through our ramblings.
Right. R is the real interest rate, which we've talked about this. You take the nominal, and nominal has what?
Inflation.
Inflation minus the inflation rate, and this is what's gonna give us the real. It'll be expressed in a decimal. And then N is the number of years we're keeping it there. And then K is the number of times of interest it's credited per year. So this is one of the things that you could also figure about how much you're spending on a credit card, because if it's compounding every 12 months, it's always gonna count you interest every month at the end of it. So this is why eventually when we get to personal finance, we're gonna look at the finer print and realize why you always accrue interest you're paying to that credit card. So that's why you wanna pay it off before the end of the month, because they're charging you that interest. Yes.
So essentially, at some point, they're charging you interest on interest.
Yes, and so that's why you wanna pay it off before the interest is accrued, so you're basically borrowing free money before they've charged you the interest.
So basically, what you do is like if they charge you your credit card bill on the 30th, you pay
On the 29th,
29th
in full,
or
so then you
earlier.
borrow that money without paying interest.
Or just pay on.
But
Or
we're gonna talk about why you have to have credit, and it's gonna be important, because that's the only way you're gonna be able to make bigger purchases in the future, which we'll get to in personal finance, which I'm hoping personal finance will be right when we come back from Thanksgiving break. That I get through monetary policy, I'll get through fiscal policy, and I'll get through foreign exchange and all that stuff before Thanksgiving, and then we'll do personal finance.
Well, thanks to God for the, all that's on hold.
Okay. Alright, so the simple interest rate formula is basically we're solving for V, the future value, because that's what we want to figure out. 1 plus R to the n times P. In all reality, I've only seen this once on the AP exam,
They ask you the formula.
not the formula, to calculate it.
I
Without the
mean,
formula?
this kind of formula you
Without
see
the formula.
more on math stuff
Okay.
than
Yes, they've asked
Economic
one
stuff.
time before, and what happened is because it's an exponent, that's why it was actually thrown off the test, but I have to teach you time value money just for you to understand it conceptually.
So, yeah, if that exponent is 3 to 4, like, say half,
Yeah.
it's kind of difficult.
Yeah, it is, to do that math, and that's why they'll never ask it on the AP exam, because you cannot have a calculator.
Which I understand.
Okay, so compounding interest formula, and this is just important for when y'all eventually get a credit card. It's at the bottom of the thing, I'm sorry.
Can you just go your whole life without credit? I mean, you can.
You will have to buy everything in cash, Danny. I don't know what you wanna do in the future, but would you like to live in a house? Would you like to have a car?
What if all you
Yeah.
make is cash?
All
It's
you
like
make
free
is
money.
cash? Huh?
It's like all that you want.
Never, you're perfect.
I know, but then that's when you get a credit card and you're gonna have to start, okay, cause this is where we're gonna get into personal finance. When you go to college, they will let you have no income basically. So they'll say, okay, we'll give you a credit card and your limit is $100. The reason why they set a limit that low is because you don't have a job, they're very fruitful, you're not gonna pay, so their stakes are high, but their risk is low by doing that. And let's just say you do it, right? You pay it off, right? Then all of a sudden, your interest is, we're gonna see they have interest on it, but then they realize, well, he's a safe bet, so then they increase your credit score, not your credit score will increase, but then they increase the amount of money you could take out on that card. Right? And so like, for example, I started out of college, my first credit card was $100. That was my max. Now I have a card that's $18,000. I never want to get there. Okay? I never want to get there. But now that allows me, because when we're going to get to this stuff, that's going to allow me to have a better credit score. And in case of an incident, like I need it, I have that there for an emergency. But I'm going to get to that in personal finance, why it's so important that you get a credit score, because eventually, Danny, you do not want to live with your parents the rest of your life, right?
He does have a big house. No, yeah.
He does have a big house. I don't know. I've never been to it. Okay.
And credit score means like retirement and stuff, so.
Well, and yeah, and it means that if you needed to borrow something, if you wanted to buy a car, are you going to stay in the same car forever? Or are your parents just going to bankroll you the rest of your life? Okay? Because if you're not worried about that, you're not worried about it. But this is why we're looking at it, because this is what the credit card companies use. And so we need to figure out how do we go around before they charge us that interest.
My grandpa actually does that. He has a credit card. He pays for everything in cash.
But you may have had a credit score that's perfectly fine, okay? But most people cannot pay everything in cash. Yeah,
I buy everything with my credit card and then immediately
pay it off, and then your credit score, which you could actually look it up right now. You probably have a really good credit score. Yes.
Do you have to pay it off, like, so you said like you have to pay it off by the end of the month?
Well, you don't.
You
pay it off at any time?
Anytime. But if
Okay.
you don't want to incur the interest, which we just looked at the equations, you pay it off before the end of the month. Like, say one of my credit cards is on the 15th. Well, if I pay it on the 14th before they calculated interest, I just borrowed that money without paying interest.
Okay, so
Right.
now,
So then let's just say you don't, and let's just say I had an accident, my tire blew out, and I needed to get a new tire plus a new rim. That's going to cost me $800. Okay? I have that money in my account, but most people don't have money just sitting there to be able to do for that emergency. So people use their credit cards, but let's just say it's $800, and maybe that next month I couldn't pay the full $108, right? Maybe I could pay $200. Well, I'm gonna get charged what?
And
interest
600?
on the whatever I haven't paid off.
Okay, so.
And then it accrues every month. And so, yes, they've charged me interest once, but then the next month they're going to charge me interest again. And that's what that equation's there for, to help you figure out if they're charging you the correct amount of interest, so you know. Right? So, what we're going to look at is the real interest rate. We're going to look at problem 1. Assume the inflation rate is expected to be 3%. And the nominal interest rate, or the simple interest rate savings, is 1%. Calculate the future value of $1 over a year. Let me just do this with you, okay? Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna calculate the interest rate. So this is the real interest rate formula. And that's what it's asking you to put in there, right? Rate, okay. So I'm gonna look at this. What's the first one that I plug in? What is the I? The nominal, right? So it's what? 3. And then the 1, right? And this is gonna give me a negative.
Wait, no.
So,
Yes.
cause remember the nominal was the pi?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't put them up there for y'all. Okay, so looking at this, the expected rate is 3%, but the simple interest saving is 1. So I know that that's gonna be negative. I am losing money. Remember, this is what I told you about your savings accounts? Inflation is way more than the interest rate, and so are you making money off your money there?
No.
No, and so this is why I was telling you, do you need to go get you something that's above 3%?
Yes.
Yes, because most banks are gonna give you 1%. Are you earning anything? This is that equation I've been telling you over and over and over again. Y'all remember that? Yes, and that's when Eric was like, man, all my money, I need to get it out of my savings account and put it somewhere else. Okay? So, we're gonna calculate the simple interest rate to calculate the future dollar of $1. Alright, so here's the equation. We're gonna have to multiply it out. Look, just follow me. I know it's just $1. Did it lose value?
Yes.
Yes.
So 0.98, or it's at 98 cents.
So, do you lose money in savings accounts?
Yes.
This is my lesson to you. If you want to make money off your money, you don't keep it in a savings account. Savings accounts are just temporary. Okay? Savings accounts, Brittany, let's put it up. Okay? So you've been gone 2 days. Okay? At least you could give me some effort while you're here. Let's put up the phone. Okay? Saving account. So this is why you want to get something where you're locking in your money if you're not needing it immediately. Yes.
So you're getting a better return from a savings account than you are like a jar in your house.
That's true.
But you're still losing money.
You're
just
still
not as
losing
much.
money. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, then we're on problem 2. Assume the inflation rate is expected to be 3%, but that nominal interest rate on the simple interest is 4% now. So we're gonna calculate for $1 again. So I'm gonna put it in. Okay. Now, are you making something? When this interest rate is higher than the what? Rate of inflation, you will make something. So if they're gonna tell you the simple interest rate is 6%, and we know inflation is 3%, what is the percentage you're making? 3. So you always need to make sure that your simple interest savings rate is higher than the rate of inflation. Are any banks gonna give that to you right now? No. But they will give it to you on a CD that is a long-term investment, okay? And so, whenever you're banking in whatever profession you're in, you're gonna put money in stocks, you're gonna put money in CDs, but will you ever put money in your savings? No, that's for emergencies. Yes, for emergencies. You should have enough to be able to cover yourself for 6 months.
And I know don't some banks give you like, I know there's some banks I believe that are like 5% right now, up to like
Depending on
$1,500
how much you have in your account.
Yeah, but I'm saying like they cap at like $1,500,
Yeah.
and after that you get like a 1.5%.
Yes. Right. Because why do banks want to encourage you with a higher interest rate? Once you put that money in, what does that mean that they could do with it?
It's theirs. They can
Well, it's theirs, but they have a reserve requirement, and then what do they could loan it out. So that's why they're gonna try to attract you, because they want more money in their accounts, and no bank will ever lend out all of its money. Okay, so then let's look at this with the calculating in the future. Again, you only make 1 cent on that dollar. Okay, but just imagine you had $100,000. That's where it's like this interest rate is gonna get you a lot more.
Then you're making.
Yeah, but if you,
$10,
yeah, $10, but
Yeah.
that's better. It's secure.
Yeah.
Are y'all getting this? You're just like, interest rates, yes.
Is this interest rate like per year or per month or what?
What we're looking at, this one occurs every month. Okay, so if you think about that over 12 months, you've made a whole what? 12 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why, have you ever looked at your savings? You're like, I just made a cent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
this
was like,
is,
yo, I was so happy. I was just.
Hey, I'm at 68 cents in total from interest.
but do y'all get why it's just a cent?
Yeah.
Okay. This is all that math, okay? So time value of money is fun. It's not, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor's just trying to make it fun. So assume that the inflation rate is expected to be 2.5%, and that the annual nominal interest rate over a 10-year period is, for a CD, a certificate of deposit, is 5%. Now we're gonna look at $1,000. Okay, so we're gonna calculate this. Okay, I'm gonna put 5 minus 2.5. I know now I'm gonna make 2.5%. And I'm just gonna calculate this out for y'all. I know I had it, do y'all see what I just did? I did it over 10-year period times acquiring every single month, right? This gave us, sorry, some very long digits. But now, do y'all see that this account, where we were making 2.5%, actually occurred over 10 years, $283. Hey, did it take time to make that?
Yeah.
So do you think people really want to keep their money in a CD or a savings account or something like that?
Yes.
It's stable, right? Is it as shaky as the stock market?
No.
No, but I'm telling you, if someone's gonna give you 5%, is that pretty good? Yes. And do y'all see how it compounds over months? This is gonna be good for y'all. So again, 3%, is that good?
No.
No. Anything 5 and above is gonna get you, and do y'all understand 5 and above is really good? Yes.
So let's say you've got a 5% rate and like,
We're gonna review all next time. So we have a 5%, most people are going to